there to be a treatment-free management system. And this all came about when I returned to Pennsylvania after keeping bees in Manitoba in a very conventional manner, when I started to learn about other ways of doing beekeeping. And I teach some introductory beekeeping classes, and it became clear to me that newbies come in thinking that there's one way to keep bees, but the reality is that there are so many different ways to keep bees. And they also might be coming in with a preconceived notion about sort of what their philosophy is going to be, what their goals are, whether they are interested in putting chemicals in their colonies or not. But these are not well defined, and the teachers of these classes may not be prepared to teach the students in the way that they would like to learn. So a whole bunch of us sort of brainstormed, how can we represent this in a visual manner? And we came up with this beekeeping continuum. This continuum is published in Insects, and I'll give the reference on the next page. Most of you are probably looking at this continuum, which goes from low intervention on the left to high intervention on the right, and you can see all the different rows or the different sort of beekeeping decisions that you need to make as a beekeeper, and thinking that, you know, maybe to be a certain type of beekeeper you have to stay all on the left, or you need to stay all on the right, but that is not the case. And that is not what beekeepers do. So for this paper in Insects, we purchased data from the Bee Informed Partnership from their management survey. If you've ever taken their survey in the United States, there's a short survey that asks you 10 questions about winter losses, and then you can opt to continue and answer all the questions about everything you've been doing to your bees, when, what dose, how many, what % of the colonies. It's a huge management survey. It's a gold mine of data. We purchased the data from a single year, it was 16, 17, and what we were wondering about is, do beekeepers with different philosophies toward bees make different management decisions? So I can't spend a lot of time on this graph, but basically we predicted that there would be sort of clouds of beekeepers that do similar things. So in all of these graphs, you can see the blue dots are beekeepers that we call conventional, the green dots are sort of organic, and then the red are the natural. And you can see that they kind of piece out together, where the blue are more to the left, red are more to the right, and green are kind of in between. And so, in fact, the beekeepers in the United States, when they were asked what their beekeeping philosophy is, and then told us what management decisions they were making, this was somewhat predictable. It's not that beekeepers are making decisions at random. So there are these sort of beekeeping philosophies. And so when I talk to bee clubs, I hand this to them and I tell them, circle all of your decisions going along. And generally when they do that, you can see that these circles are left, right. It's like the waggle dance, right? It's not a beeline. And so these answers, to me, represent an organic beekeeping philosophy. And I represent that also in this Venn diagram. So I understand that there are many, many different beekeeping philosophies, but I broke them down into 3. The first one is conventional. So if you know about a Venn diagram, anything that's overlapping applies to everything within that circle. So beekeepers that are considered conventional have the whole range of options. They can use synthetic chemicals, they can put moth crystals in their stored hives, they can also choose from the organic, they can also choose to do nothing. A conventional beekeeper has the whole gamut of choices. An organic beekeeper, now I'm not talking about certified organic because there's standards there, but if you consider yourself to only want to put organic things into your colonies, you're more limited. So you can still use organic acids and essential oils, but you cannot use things outside of your circle. And then we have natural beekeeping, which comes in many names: chemical-free, treatment-free, natural beekeeping. You don't use any of those things. So this is what I'm comparing in my study. These 3 management systems. This is a little bit of different science. It's a systems approach. Instead of just changing one thing and seeing for sure that that's the change, I have complete management systems. Now these were not designed by me as a scientist sitting at my computer. These were designed by stakeholder groups. I have large groups of beekeepers that consider themselves to be either conventional, organic, or chemical-free, treatment-free beekeepers, and I ask them to circle all the things on that chart and agree on what should happen during that management system, and then I wrote protocols for everyone involved, what they could and could not do with their bees, and we set up new colonies using these management systems. So a couple things I want to call to your attention. First of all, conventional and organic systems use standard size combs, whereas for the chemical-free, we're using small cell comb. The organic system in this instance includes drone brood removal, whereas the chemical-free, we took the foundation and cut an inch off each side so that they would have a space to make drones if they so chose. And also, we are encouraging the propolis envelope to be developed so that the inner cover is made of cloth and all the insides of the boxes were scratched, not smooth, so that the bees would fill them in with propolis and self-medicate. Also, in terms of treatments for Varroa mites, we have, we're using synthetics and organic treatments in conventional. We're using organic treatments of organic acids and essential oils in the organic group, and absolutely no chemicals in, of course, the chemical-free group. These bees are being kept in the northeastern United States, so I tried to include Montreal on here so you could, went back. So you can see, here we are right now. These bees are in Pennsylvania, in the northeast, southeast, and central PA, and also in West Virginia. Each of those dots on the map is what I call a farm. A farm has 36 colonies. 36 colonies are broken down into 3 apiaries of 12. And this is what you can see here is one apiary of 12. It includes all 3 treatment groups. So we have sort of sub-apiaries. We have 4 colonies in each, or at least this is how we started. And the order of them going across, like chemical-free, organic, and conventional, varied at each apiary. Now, we started with packages in the spring of 2018, and those were just our comb builders because I couldn't get bees good enough for the chemical-free group all at once. I couldn't get 300 packages at the same time. So instead, I got comb builders, which were then requeened with sister queens. These sister queens came from my friend Devin at Greenway Apiaries. They are all sisters from a colony that lived in somebody's soffit for 3 years untreated, and then in a standard hive for 4 more years untreated. So these are excellent mite-resistant bees. We've been doing lots of colony health measures that I'm not going to go over, so you're going to see each one. So this is 2018. Packages started on brand new equipment. You can see the Varroa mite buildup over time. The one time that we had to do chemical treatments was in the fall, which is a standard practice. And both conventional and organic had mite control with chemicals. The chemical-free went into the winter, which was about a 3.5% infestation rate. We'll be measuring Nosema, Apis, and Serrani. Apis is barely ever seen. Serrani is showing no effect of management system, but they seem to have a seasonal variation. In terms of the honey harvest in the first year, we didn't really expect much, but what we did see was that the chemical-free colonies made a bit more. Winter survival was very good overall. In Pennsylvania, we lost more than 46% on average. Our chemical-free colonies had only 36% survival, but the mite-treated ones were over 80%. And this sounds just like what John found, more than one third survived. So this is what you would expect. In terms of building back up then to get our numbers back, we were able to easily do that in the treated colonies. They were strong and they were plentiful. We made actually too many. And then in the chemical-free, we did get back up to about 50% of where we started in the first year. In April, you can see there were a few more mites in the chemical-free colonies, but still pretty low numbers. And this is the buildup so far this year. This is 2019. This is our freshest data here. You can see that we have been treating based on when we hit a threshold all summer long with the chemically treated colonies. Honey harvest, this is not the final number, this is quite preliminary. This was the initial pull of honey that we were able to take in mid-July. There's still honey in the freezer waiting to be extracted while I'm here instead. And again, it looks like the chemical-free colonies made more honey. There could be some simple explanations for that. And by the way, I did splits, and I did keep the colony density at 12, even though there was some deaths. But the only data I'm showing you are the second-year colonies. So there's other colonies in place that we're managing, but they're not really part of the study unless they started at the very beginning of 2018. So anything that died got replaced, but it's not included here. So just to think about summarizing, what have we seen so far? And keep in mind, this is a long-term study. In terms of Varroa mites, there were fewer in chemically treated colonies. You would expect that. But the thing, too, is if you're in here and you're not a treatment-free beekeeper, but you're deciding whether you want to use synthetics or not, I really don't think they're necessary because the organic treatments are working just fine. So even if we can start to eliminate a bit of the synthetics in our colonies, I think that would be a great result. In terms of survival, you expect more losses when you don't treat for Varroa mites. But when we did treat, we were able to easily make up our numbers. In terms of honey production, we have been making more per colony with the treatment-free, chemical-free colonies. However, there's fewer of them, so the overall number is still less, of course, because you have fewer bees. We're taking a lot more measurements than are mentioned here. They're just not ready yet because lab analyses take a long time. But we have taken samples every spring, summer, and fall for deformed wing virus and Israeli acute paralysis virus. We're also quite interested in the gene expression of these colonies and are looking at 3 different immune genes to see if they're being affected by these management systems as well. So what I want to keep in mind as you move forward in your life, whatever your beekeeping philosophy is, it's the right one for you. And just because someone else is doing something different doesn't mean that it's bad for the bees. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of fighting among, the treaters and the non-treaters and the mite bomb thing and all that stuff. I have no bias. I am all about gathering data. I'm not into promoting anecdotes, like single witness things. I need data, I need replication, and to me that's what this is all about. Just gathering the information and sharing it with you so that when you are deciding or a new beekeeper is deciding how to move forward, they have all of the information that they might need. Okay, so I'd be really happy to take some questions. There's 2 minutes left.
Thank you, Robyn.
Yep.
You make Pennsylvania proud, you really do. It's really a great study.
Thank you.
One of the questions I have is about the genetics that you use for the conventional and the organic.
They all the same.
Okay, they're all the same?
They're all the same.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I cut you off. They all got requeened to have the same genetics because if there are differences, I want them to be due to management because that's what I'm studying.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
About your fall management, your spring management. Is it consistent throughout all of them? Are you feeding the conventional hives or the organic hives? Or are you not feeding the 2 different hives? How are you managing them over winter? Are they equalized?
I don't equalize for strength because for research a hive, one individual colony is a data point, so I don't want to mix them up. They were all fed at the beginning when they were put on foundation. ProSweet is like an invert syrup that we used. We did feed in the fall to get up to a certain weight.
What was that weight?
60 excess pounds. What was your other question?
I was just wondering if you're in the springtime, if you're still feeding pollen, or are you treating them differently for treatment?
Yeah, there's so much, like the protocol details are huge, but yes. So the conventional colonies got a candy board for the winter as their emergency feed above the 60 pounds. The organic got dry sugar, and then in spring they got a pollen patty, chemical-free, nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there, this is Robyn.
Hi.
I'm from the USA. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and my bees survived the hurricane.
Yay!
Thank you for your data talk. This is fabulous. I really appreciate the beekeeping continuum. Is it published? Can we get it
Yes.
out there? Can
Yes.
we stop the wars between the treaters and the non-treaters?
Oh, I don't know about stopping a war, but this diagram is freely available online.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I have to go on to the next person. While that person's coming up here, you can ask me a question. How about that?
I just wondered whether you had looked at the hives, like whether the smaller hives make any difference, like the Darwinian
Okay.
beekeeping and seeding.
Really good question. We're keeping it standard. It's all in 10 frame length throughout the equipment, and we build it up, honey on top, and then break it down to 3 mediums for the winter for everyone. Thank you. I'd be happy to talk to you. I'll be here for the whole Congress.